I stood in the doorway of my childhood home, watching the graduation party preparations with a mixture of amusement and bitterness. My stepmom Diana was directing the catering staff like a general commanding troops, while my father hovered nearby, nodding at her every decision. The flowers go there, no, not there, there. Diana's voice carried through the house, sharp and commanding. And make sure the main dining room is perfect. That's where the important guests will sit. I clutched my MIT diploma holder tighter, the leather case containing proof of my double major in computer science and business administration. Summa cum laude, top of my class, already fielding multiple job offers from top tech companies. Not that any of that mattered to them. My stepsister Madison breezed past me, not even trying to hide her smirk. "Oh, you're early," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Mom's still setting up the kids' area in the kitchen." I raised an eyebrow. "The kids' area?" "Well, yeah," Madison shrugged, adjusting her designer dress. "The dining room is for family and important guests. You know, people who actually accomplished something." The irony of her statement almost made me laugh. Madison had dropped out of 3 colleges and was now finding herself, while living off our father's money. Meanwhile, I'd worked my way through MIT, built a successful tech company in secret, and recently acquired this very house through a shell corporation. But they didn't know any of that. To them, I was just Mark's awkward daughter from his first marriage, the one who wasted her time with computers instead of following the family's real estate business. "Madison, darling," Diana called from the dining room. "Come help me with the place cards." I followed Madison into the dining room, watching as Diana fussed over the elaborate table settings. Crystal glasses sparkled under the chandelier, fine china plates were perfectly aligned, and name cards in elegant calligraphy marked each place. "Where should I sit?" I asked, already knowing the answer. Diana barely glanced at me. "Oh, Emma dear. You'll be in the kitchen with the younger cousins. We need the main table for Father's business associates and Madison's friends." "Emma." He still couldn't even get my name right. "It's Evelyn. It's my graduation party," I said quietly. "And we're very proud," my father finally spoke up, though his eyes never left his phone. "But Diana's right. The dining room is for adults. You understand." I did understand. I understood perfectly. Just like I understood 2 years ago when they were about to lose this house due to my father's failed investments. He'd over-leveraged everything, betting big on a development project that went bust. The bank was ready to foreclose. That's when Wilson Corp., a seemingly small but aggressive real estate investment firm, stepped in and bought the property. They offered my father a generous lease agreement, allowing the family to save face by staying in the house. What they didn't know was that I had founded Wilson Corp. Using the profits from my tech company, Strategic Solutions. I'd started Strategic Solutions in my dorm room, developing advanced algorithms for real estate market analysis. By my junior year it was worth 8 figures. By senior year I was acquiring properties across the country through various shell companies, including this house. "The caterers need direction in the kitchen," Diana said dismissively. "Why don't you go make yourself useful there?" I watched her arrange place cards, making sure Madison was seated next to the son of a prominent real estate developer. My father had been trying to get his company's backing for months, unaware that I already owned a controlling interest through another shell corporation. "Actually," I said, "I think I'll make a quick business call first." Diana rolled her eyes. "Business call? Right. Don't forget to set up the paper plates in the kitchen when you're done playing entrepreneur." I stepped into my father's study, technically my study since I owned it, and called my assistant, Sarah. "Everything set?" I asked. "Yes, Ms. Wilson," she replied, using my business name. "The papers are ready. Are you sure you want to do this today?" I looked out the window at the arriving guests, watching Diana greet them with air kisses and practiced charm. Madison was already flirting with the developer's son, while my father networked with his business associates, probably making promises he couldn't keep. "Yes," I said firmly. "It's time they learned who they've been renting from. Send everything to my phone." I ended the call and opened my emails, downloading the property deed, lease agreement and other documentation that proved I was their landlord. 2 years of their condescension, their dismissal, their careful exclusion from important family matters was about to end. The party was in full swing when I returned to the dining room. Guests filled the elegant space, sipping champagne and engaging in artificial small talk. Through the kitchen door I could see my younger cousins seated at a folding table, eating off disposable plates. "Emma," Diana called out, her voice carrying that false brightness she used for appearances. "The children are waiting for you in the kitchen. Be a dear and make sure they don't make too much mess." I stood there, feeling the weight of my phone in my pocket, containing the truth that would shatter their carefully constructed social hierarchy. The moments stretched out as I watched Diana arrange everyone at her perfect table, placing Madison in the seat of honor. "You don't belong at the main table," Madison said with a smirk. "Mom's right. Know your place." I smiled, reaching for my phone. "Funny you should mention place." I stood up, letting my phone screen cast a soft glow on my face. "Since we're discussing places," I said, my voice carrying across the room, "I think it's time we had a conversation about this house." Diana's perfectly maintained smile faltered slightly. "Emma dear, the kitchen dash." "It's Evelyn," I cut her off, my voice firm. "And I'm not going to the kitchen. In fact, I think it's time everyone knew who really owns this dining room." My father finally looked up from his phone. "Evelyn, what are you talking about?" I connected my phone to the large smart TV mounted on the wall, another upgrade I'd secretly approved as their landlord. "2 years ago, when you were about to lose this house, it was purchased by Wilson Corporation. They've been your landlords ever since." Diana waved her hand dismissively. "Everyone knows that. What does this have to do with Dash?" "I founded Wilson Corp.," I said quietly. The room fell silent. "I own this house. I've been your landlord for the past 2 years." Madison's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood floors. Diana's face had gone pale, while my father stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. I pulled up the property documents on the TV screen. "Here's the deed, the incorporation papers for Wilson Corp., and your lease agreement, which, by the way, you're currently violating with these unauthorized renovations to the dining room." "This is ridiculous," Diana sputtered. "You're just a student. You couldn't possibly dash." "I'm the founder and CEO of Strategic Solutions," I continued, bringing up more documents. "We're a tech company specializing in real estate market analysis. Current valuation, just over $100 million. Wilson Corp. is one of our subsidiaries." The developer's son, who Madison had been flirting with all evening, suddenly sat up straighter. "Strategic Solutions? We've been trying to get a meeting with them for months." I smiled. "I know. I declined your proposals personally." My father stood up, his face flushed. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Tell you?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "When have you ever been interested in anything I did? When have you ever asked about my work, my studies, my dreams?" Diana found her voice, though it shook slightly. "We gave you everything, Dash. You gave me a room in my own house," I corrected her. "You relegated me to the kids' table at my own graduation party. You couldn't even be bothered to learn my name correctly." I turned to the gathered guests, many of whom were prominent figures in real estate. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for disrupting your evening. As the owner of this property, I should inform you that this party doesn't have proper permits for this many guests. Also, the catering company isn't licensed for this venue." Diana's carefully curated event was crumbling around her. Guests began to shift uncomfortably, gathering their belongings. "You can't do this." Madison stood up, her face red with anger. "Daddy, tell her she can't do this." My father just sat there looking years older. "The development project," he said slowly. "The one that fell through. You bought that too, didn't you?" I nodded. "Through another subsidiary. It's actually quite successful now. Proper management makes all the difference." Guests were leaving in streams now, the party effectively over. Diana was still standing by her precious dining table, gripping the back of a chair like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "The lease," she said suddenly. "We have a lease." "Yes, you do. Would you like to review the terms?" I pulled up the document, particularly the part about maintaining professional decorum and respect toward the property owner and their representatives. Sarah, my assistant, chose that moment to walk in. "Ms. Wilson, your other guests have arrived." The caterers began bringing in new place settings, fine china, but different from Diana's choices. A new group of people entered. My team from Strategic Solutions, the real business associates I wanted to dine with. "You can't just dash," Diana began, but I cut her off. "I can. It's my house." I gestured to the kitchen. though I hear the kids' table has some empty seats. Watching them shuffle out Diana, Madison, and my father was both satisfying and sad. They moved like sleepwalkers, their perfect world shattered by the realization that the person they'd dismissed for so long had become someone they couldn't ignore. One of my executives whistled low as they left. Brutal boss. Remind me never to get on your bad side. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about recognition. About standing up and claiming my place, not at their table but at my own. The next morning I had Sarah deliver 3 envelopes to their rooms. Inside each was a new lease agreement with updated terms and significantly higher rent, now at market rate rather than the generous discount I'd been giving them. Diana tried to protest, of course. You can't just raise the rent like this. We're family. Family. I met her eyes steadily. Family learns each other's names. Family celebrates achievements together. Family doesn't send their daughter to eat at the kids' table at her own graduation party. My father attempted to negotiate, falling back on his business persona. Evelyn, surely we can discuss this reasonably. We can, I agreed. Just like we can discuss the other properties you've been trying to acquire. The ones mysteriously bought up before you could close the deals? Those were me too. Madison, surprisingly, was the first to sign the new lease. Maybe she finally understood that her lifestyle depended on my goodwill now. Diana and my father signed soon after. I kept the house's deed framed in my office at Strategic Solutions headquarters. Not as a reminder of victory but as a lesson about assumptions and perceptions. The plaque beneath it reads, "Success doesn't always look the way people expect it to." 6 months later, I received a dinner invitation from Diana. The irony wasn't lost on me. Now she wanted me at her table. I declined politely through Sarah, citing business commitments. Instead, I hosted my own dinner party. The guest list included young entrepreneurs, tech innovators, and people who had been told their dreams were impractical. We ate in my dining room, the same one where Diana had once denied me a seat. My father still tries to involve me in his business deals, now that he knows who I am. Diana makes awkward attempts at motherly concern, suddenly interested in my computer work. Madison alternates between resentment and attempts to leverage our connection. I remain polite but distant. The time for family bonding passed long ago, somewhere between, "you don't belong at this table," and "know your place." My place, as it turns out, is exactly where I chose to be, at the head of my own table, running my own empire, answering to no one but myself. Last week, I received an invitation to speak at MIT's graduation ceremony. The topic? Breaking the table, building success on your own terms. I think I'll start my speech with a story about a dining room, a kid's table, and the unexpected places life takes you when you refuse to sit where others tell you to belong. After all, sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above, building something meaningful, and owning your own seat at the table. Or better yet, owning the whole house. 1 year after my revelation at the graduation party, I stood in the same dining room, but everything was different. The house had been completely renovated, my taste, my style, my vision. The pretentious crystal chandelier Diana loved so much had been replaced with modern lighting. The stuffy Victorian wallpaper was gone, replaced by clean, contemporary lines. I'd kept the dining table though. It served as a reminder. Sarah entered with a stack of reports. "The latest acquisition numbers are in. Your father's trying to reach you again." Since the party, my father had made countless attempts to reconcile. Each one coincidentally aligned with a business opportunity he wanted to discuss. Last week it was a development project in the city. Before that, a commercial property he swore would be perfect for Strategic Solutions expansion. "Let me guess," I said, reviewing the reports. "Another can't-miss investment opportunity?" Sarah smiled knowingly. "He mentioned something about a tech hub development. Said it would be good for your little computer company." I couldn't help but laugh. Even now he couldn't help but diminish what I'd built. Strategic Solutions had just been valued at $250 million, and he still called it my little computer company. Diana had taken a different approach. She'd become overwhelmingly, artificially supportive. Suddenly she was so proud of my accomplishments, telling anyone who would listen about her brilliant stepdaughter in tech. She even finally learned to pronounce my name correctly. Madison surprisingly had shown the most growth. After 6 months of sulking, She'd enrolled in business classes at the local community college. Last week she'd asked for a meeting not to beg for favors, but to pitch a legitimate business idea. Your sister's presentation is scheduled for Thursday, Sarah reminded me. Stepsister, I corrected automatically, then paused. How did you know about that? She went through proper channels. Submitted a formal proposal through our investment division. No mention of family connections. I nodded, impressed despite myself. Maybe Madison was finally learning. The doorbell rang and Sarah checked her tablet. That'll be the movers. Are you sure about this? I looked around the dining room one last time. Yes. It's time. I'd decided to sell the house. Not because of the memories, good or bad, but because holding on to it felt like holding on to the past. I'd proved my point. Now it was time to move forward. The new property I'd bought was a modern penthouse in the city's tech district. No formal dining room, just an open-concept space where everyone sat together equal. Diana had been horrified when she heard I was selling such a prestigious address. The realtor's photos showed my renovations, and she'd called in tears about how I'd ruined the house's character. It's not about the house anymore, I told Sarah, watching the movers carefully pack up my belongings. It never really was. That evening I hosted one final dinner party. Not in the dining room but in the kitchen at the kids' table that had once been my designated spot. I invited young entrepreneurs, startup founders, and students with big dreams and limited resources. The best revenge, I told them, raising my glass, isn't about getting even. It's about getting ahead. Success is about building something meaningful, not proving others wrong. One young woman, barely out of college, spoke up. But didn't you buy this house to prove them wrong? I considered her question carefully. I bought this house because they underestimated me. I'm selling it because I no longer need to prove anything to anyone. The next day, as I handed over the keys to the new owners, a lovely family with 3 daughters who would all have equal places at their table, I received a text from Madison. Just got accepted into the coding boot camp. No family discount needed. See you Thursday for my pitch. I smiled, forwarding the message to Sarah. Schedule an hour for Thursday's meeting. And Sarah? Make sure there's only one table in the conference room. No kids section. Sometimes the biggest victories come not from changing others' perspectives, but from outgrowing the need for their approval entirely. The plaque in my new office doesn't display the house deed anymore. Instead, it shows a simple photo of a folding table in a kitchen with a quote beneath. Your place is wherever you choose to build it. Last month, I received an invitation to speak at a Women in Tech conference. They wanted me to talk about breaking barriers and defying expectations. I think I'll start with a story about a dining room table, and how sometimes the best seat in the house is the one you create for yourself. After all, success isn't about which table you sit at. It's about building your own.